What about ye? On the ramp today we have a Ford Focus. This is a 2010 model year. It's a Ford Focus Mk2, and the customer complaint is that when he goes over ramps and stuff and bumps, there's a lot of squeaking noise from back end. So there's 173,000 miles thereabouts in this car, so I'll show you a few photographs of this is the front bushing of the trailing arm that's associated with the rear suspension. So we can see it's parted company there with the mounting part of it. So these are photographs that you can maybe see it a bit better because we can zoom in on it and stuff. So we can see that it's parted company there. And what's that there? Not much. Yeah. That's another part of it there. So forward bushings, inner, original, by the looks of it. And the squeaking noise that he's hearing, so this is a bit. So it's moved across, the bushings moved across on that inner bit, and it's now hitting the underside, you know. So that's the cause of his squeaking noise that he's hearing. And you can see the red there where it's rubbing. So there we go, front bushings on the rear subframe. So this car has independent rear suspension. So there's a swinging arm here, there's an anti-roll bar link that's on there. I have it disconnected. I have its mate disconnected over here as well, because I've already done the left. That's it up in there. So we're going to show you the right one on this. This could be the more tricky one because there's a fuel tank here. So we'll have the trailing arm and there's these control links, and it's up in that sort of recess up in there. So we want that trailing arm, we need that to be away down here. So yeah, for a wee bit of disconnecting to do. You know, you could drop the whole subframe out, you could do all sorts of different things. However, I like to first of all remove the spring. Now, I did a video before where I did frontmost bushings on a rear axle of a Ford Fiesta. Bit different because it's a solid beam axle, and the first thing I did in that video was take the two springs out. So the idea of that was, you know, you imagine this thing is attached, say about there, you know, so that's sitting like that, and you have a spring bearing down at the back of it. So it's trying to push down, and the only thing preventing it from going any further is that shock absorber. So that shock absorber is at its full stretch, but this spring is putting everything under tension. So that's sitting there like that. So we're wanting this to be away down there like that, underneath the car, underneath this body, so that we can get at it. Because there's a fuel tank and there's all sorts of stuff there on the road. So for that to go like that, you know, the spring is going to act on it. So there's other reasons too, and I'll show you in a wee minute why I'm going to, the first thing I'm going to do is take a spring out. So the previous video I did, there was loads of commenters on it. You don't need to take the springs in, you don't need to do this, you don't need that. Well, look, see, removing the springs, especially in this example, you know, it'll make life a lot easier for you. You could maybe do it with the springs in, but I'm not here to kill myself. So work smarter, not harder. So the spring's bearing down in this rear arm, and you know what then you get is the rest of the bushings, which we will need to disconnect, are, you know, they're under a bit of tension. So you can see this one here sort of tilted over a wee bit, and that's what happens. However, removing this spring, you see this bottom bolt down here? You see that one, right? Now we can see that this is going to be pretty shagged out as well, but anyway. So you can see this is sitting at a bit of an angle. So if you look at the bolt that way, but this trailing arm's like that. Anyway, these bottom bolts are renowned for being seized in here, and I can tell you that from experience as well, and maybe the same on that one, but it doesn't matter to me because I have that. So that machine there will get these bolts out, or sorry, these springs out, no problem. But what I'm wanting to do is taking the tension off this whole assembly. So, you know, it'll give me a chance to get these other bolts out. So this is the tool I'm going to use to take this out, and it's a Nielsen CT3894. You see loads of these type of tools. They're on eBay, Amazon, wherever, and you know, I think they're all much the same. Doesn't really matter who makes them. So it says in this, if you can read that, Ford Focus Mk1, 1988 to 04. Well, the Mk1 bushings and the Mk2 are identical, so it'll do both, and it does other cars as well. We'll see what ones. So that's basically it there. So there's a few points to note here about all this. So this gold one is insertion. This one here, extraction. And you can see there's maybe a few war wounds I have on there for extraction. And a lot of people, I think, struggle with getting the bush out, and they end up cutting it out or whatever it is. But, well, we'll see how it gets on. Should be grand. Now, you can also note with this tool, this is pretty crucial stuff that sort of nobody really says or tells you, right? So you can see the grease that I have all over that, you know. So it is absolutely chloride with grease, and that is for good reason. So a lot of people worry that the threads are going to strip of that, you know, if you swing on too much or put it under too much pressure and all. And you know, as I do before I do my own videos, I'll look at a couple of other videos on YouTube. There's very few videos on Ford Focus Mk2 rear bushings because they're very difficult to do. I think people avoid them, or they just replace the whole arm or whatever. But anybody using tools like this, you can see them, they take it out of the box and they use it completely dry. Some of them put a wee bit of oil on it and whatever. This is another kit here, by the way, that is for something else. But I haven't used it, and this is dry. So this is the way these things come, and I'll show you a wee minute here. So we'll have this circlip here, and contained in that bit there is a thrust bearing, which whenever these tools come is completely dry. There is no grease in here whatsoever. So it'll be a thrust bearing, you know, something similar to this bio here, you know. So the roller bearings on these two guides, two plates, and whenever you put tension on it, then that's actually that's your friction surfaces. So you want to take that circlip out of that thing there, that end there, and pack that solid. And you just use ordinary, you can use wheel bearing grease or multi-purpose grease or something. Just pack it solid with that, get the circlip back on again, and you'll get a bit of life out of that then. As for the threads on the forcing screw part, what I like to do is take it completely out, and in here, get the finger in there, get a load of molybdenum disulfide grease, which is, you know, your CV boot grease, the black stuff, thick, very, very thick. So this is what you're supposed to use on forcing screws. You see people, and you know, they put oil on the threads, engine oil or whatever it is. Well, it's better than nothing, like. But you know, before every use, loads of that CV axle drive shaft grease on these forcing screws. And yeah, you're not supposed to use them with impacts, but I do. Here's a few directions for a tool like this, but it's Sealy's version. So Ford, Mazda and Volvo, and no air tools, keep the force screw lubricated. So, you know, it doesn't tell you to put grease in the bearing and it's just showing an oil can there. But it's that black grease is what you want to use. So 4-screw maximum load 158 Newton meters. So a bit of a disclaimer there, if you start using excessive force or whatever, it's going to break it. So, but that's all right. Main thing here is applications for a tool like this. So Ford Focus Mk1, Mk2, C-Max, Kuga, Mazda 3, Mazda 5, and a couple of Volvos there. You can see the dates. So they're all basically the same platform. And the other thing to note is, let me see, where is it? Oh yes, this bit, cutaway facing rear car, cleaning to lubricate. So I'll show, whenever we go to do the job, I'll show you the significance of that. Let me see, where does it say exactly what that means? A second. Oh yes, here we are. Right. To facilitate correct positioning of the bush, the replacement press has a raised shoulder on the opposite edge to the cutaway. That is the most important sentence in this whole thing here. So what does that mean? What they're on about is when you're putting the new bush in, and it's talking about this gold cup. This is the insertion cup. So I don't know why this is going to come up in camera here. You're going to be able to see this or not. But you see this cutaway here? So you see all the depth of this here. And then if you spin it around the body, you can see that sort of getting deeper and deeper. You know? So it's deeper here than it is there. So this recess here dictates how much the bush is going to go in. So the bush doesn't go in flush. It doesn't go right tight into the trailing arm. It sort of sits midway, and this thing dictates the depth of it. So your new bush sits in this recess, but this shoulder isn't the same. It's deliberately not cut. So you can see it there, maybe. So this orientation then is crucial, and what it says is this cutaway to face the rear of the car. So there we go. I'm going to get rid of this wee bump stop here first of all. Give it a prise up, just so it doesn't get in our way. Just going to give this a bit of a lift here. Remove this shocker. Of this lower arm here jammed by this piece of wood, because when I squeeze this will raise up. So don't want that. We'll get our squeezers in position. I'll take a bit of with it. And we'll get some wirings unclipped now. Right, we'll get some of this stuff out of the way. Don't want to rack any of them connectors. And I'll get these bolts loosened. I'm just going to see if they're loosened by hand at the minute with a ratchet. No bother on that one. This one's tight. Dead on. I've the transmission jack just placed underneath there. So we'll get the rest of it disconnected. Let's get somewhere to go. Rear control arm bolt just loosened. Well, that one was the inboard one. This is the outboard one. Same control arm. See if it's going to be nice. Yeah, we can get this control arm. Out of our way. I'm liking these are impact sockets that I got from Baco. There's a kit of them. The thing about them is that they're brave and beefy. So the one I was using there to get that bolt off is a 15mm, and there's a brave weight to it. So it's nearly like a weighted socket, and they're all like that. It goes up to 19 inclusive. So there's a 15mm socket that, you know, I would normally use. And if you look at that in comparison, so they're both the same size, nut size, but both 15. Yeah, both 15mm nut size, and both 1/2 inch drive. I think that kit should be on the Amazon store, I think. So we just need to release this brake hose. We're up on the top now, and is this going to come out for us? Oh, a bit of a stretch. Get that round to there. We'll get a tie-in in round here with a loop on it. Let's see if we can get this through here. Bit of magic editing there. So upper control arm bolt. Right, we'll release this. So we'll want to get our tan onto here, because whenever this will want to fall forward and put a strain on this brake hose. So we'll get that tied off. Right, so there we go. So that's tied off there. So it's not falling completely forward at the minute because the front bushing is still attached, albeit the bolts are slightly loose. But you know, otherwise, if that was completely off at this minute in time, this whole brake drum, this whole thing will want to come forward to me. It'll all fall towards me. So that's why we do it in that order. Right, we know these are already loosened, so we'll just press these out. We'll get this handbrake cable tied back somewhere in a wee minute. So we're now resting on the tranny jack, and this upper tan is stopping this whole thing from falling this way towards us, and so that's saving this brake hose. Right, so let's see what we're going to do with this. So let's see where we're at here. So our transmission jack is supporting this here. Shock's removed. Our this arm is free because we have this bolt loose. Our brake hose up there has no tension on it, but our tan is like a guitar string. Our bit of wood that we have in here is on the tank strap, but it's not, there's no real mad tension on it. And the handbrake cable is just tied up there as well, out of the way. So we'll get a wee look at this thing. So a couple of things regarding this, you know, so you can see this flat piece here, and there'll be another flat piece there. So they're opposite this plane here, you know. So some of the earlier ones, I think it was the Mark ones, maybe had a wee cutout or a wee arrow or something. There's not really on this, so we'll have to make our own marks. And the other thing to note is what we talked about earlier on when we looked at the tool itself. So it will give us this depth because it doesn't go completely home. So, you know, if you are going to press this in with a workshop press or hydraulic press, it does not go the right, you know, the whole way in. So there we go, it sits like that. So off camera, we've cleaned this up a wee bit, took all the barnacles off it, and we've marked it with respect to the flats on this metal sleeve. So there's no way this sleeve has moved, you know, with respect to the bushing and with respect to this. Sometimes these here just fall out when they're worn. So we've marked it to the flats, and we've cleaned it up here a bit as well. Gives a chance to push it out, so because there's this lip here, clearly this has to push out this way. So that bit was real time, no editing. That's the time it took me to get that out. Now, some people, you know, they drill this bush out, or they burn it out or something, and you know, cut this metal sleeve here and do all sorts of things. They're all day doing that. I haven't got the patience for that. So this tool, yes, it took a wee bit of a baiting, you know, but it'll live to fight another day. No bother at all. So yeah, this is the new one, and as you can see, I've put those white marks on at the flat bits there. You can just about see it. So at the flat bits, but I want the mark. It's, you know, the mark's no good there. You need the mark down here. You know what I mean? So that's why I've drawn two parallel lines. Orientation doesn't matter. So these are the ones we're using here. Milli, that's a part number if you're interested. The other wee thing, a couple of things going on there. So as you can see, if I had just hoofed away at that and with an impact driver on it, which you're not supposed to use, you know, I would have busted that tool. There's no doubt about it. You know, you strip the threads out. It took the impacts to loosen this up. It took those impacts, otherwise nothing was happening. You know, so if you have the arm, the whole trailing arm, and it's able to flop about and it's able to move about, you know, those impacts will be absorbed with the movement of the arm. So you're wasting your time, you're baiting yourself up. So, you know, with the transmission jack at the back and the plank of wood, you know, at the front, that thing was rock solid. So all those shocks and vibrations went into that. Tool took a bit of a baiting, but it'll live to fight another day. You know, I've done that a number of times. I've had that tool a while. So anyway, regarding the impact driver, well, this is the one I was using there, and this is my trusty Metabo. And if we can get it in the shot, I had it on numero 5 doing that. So this thing here goes up to 12, which is 2 more than 10 and 1 more than 11.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
So we just need to dress the inside of it up now with a bit of emery. You don't need to go mad on this, you know. You see people using, you know, mechanical flat wheels or something in here, but I don't want to take away, you don't want to take away any material, you know. So you're just getting rid of the rust and any barnacles. It doesn't take an awful lot. A couple of scoots with it, and that's about it. And then a wee bit of grease in here. Just ordinary standard stuff. So we're set up for an install, and you can maybe see here. So there's this bit here. This isn't flush on this side, so I put a wee bit of packer in there, you know. So this is the way it's to go in, the flange side innermost inboard, and we'll have our lines lined up that we're happy with them. So it's worthwhile taking maybe a photograph of those lines to, you know, see what side of the line you're on or whatever. But I'm pretty happy with that. And an Allen brake cable had to be moved out of the way. That's okay. And the other wee thing is, let's see if we can get you in here. The slot of the cup then to the rearmost and in line with the blade. So there we go, tool removed and bush installed, so not too bad. So the tool sets the depth here, you know, so that's dead on. And that's it, it's in as far as it can go, and that's it. As long as you have it orientated the correct way, the cup, because the cup isn't totally flat, as I said, so that's a crucial bit to note with that tool, and the tool sets the depth for you. So we'll give this a bit of a clean up, get the grease off it, and we'll give it a bit of a paint. Right, that's probably still a bit tacky, but get that out and get her up in. Something stamping it there. That's better. Our lower track arm was just jamming it there, so we're good now. So that'll hold her in a position for us, so this shouldn't come forward on us anymore. So we'll dispense of our tan. A bit of the old anti-sneeze on it. People love that copper grease. And the thing about this bracket here, almost forgot, you have to have that hooked into place first. He says. We'll just run that in a wee bit. Keeping it loose. I just backed it off a wee bit there, so that's fine. We'll get that brake hose on. It was this here, it was catching on me whenever I was raising it up. It was just caught on the lip of it. I just give it a wee tap. That's what was stopping me, so I should have been looking at what I was doing, but anyway, this will just go in here, no bar. Again, wee bit of anti-sneeze, copper slip or whatever you want to call it. Back there a wee bit. So we'll keep them loose for the moment, those ones. I'll just run this in there a wee bit. Well, we're okay to go ahead and tighten these ones. So it's 85 Newton meters for all these bolts, or good and tight. Click! So I've went ahead and put the spring in and connected all the ABS wire, and all the bolts are still kind of loose, so we'll get it up to ride height. Seeing our jacks here. We'll get our bolts tightened. Not forgetting our top one. While that's up, we can get our anti-roll bar thing in. That's both sides done, and yeah, that'll stop a squeaking noise because these bushings have clearly moved across on them there. So yeah, I'm sure there's different ways of attacking anything. You know, people do different things, but you know, that's generally speaking, that's the way I attack these sort of jobs. So maybe you got something out of it anyway. So many thanks for watching. All the best, and